Secret friends, unite!
Thank you to Manscaped for making this podcast possible. Go to manscaped.com, get 20% off and free shipping with code SFU. Thank you, Manscaped, and on with the show. Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 403. This is your guide to the geek side. And before we go further in the podcast, you can get all of our podcasts on our Secret Friends Unite network feed. You get Star Wars, you get the Holocron Chronicles for all things Star Wars, Code 47 for all things Star Trek. You get co-op mode for video games, and then SFU Prime for all things nerd. Please rate us. Give us a review. We'd love to hear what you like about the podcast. It lets people know that we're out there and gets us more notice. When you're done listening, you can go watch our podcast where you see the hijinks unfurl, backgrounds, crazy things, guest stars, pets. You never know. But we're all there. YouTube has all of our videos. We're going to have more content. Mark's been doing some snapshots. I did her open box of the God of War, and you can check there. Subscribe and leave a comment, and we'd love to hear from you. And with that, the plugs are done. I am Todd Oxtra, one of your hosts, joined by Charlie Carden.
Woo! Thanksgiving weekend has been good. I've been sick on and off, whatever. Did some Black Friday stuff, which always destroys your hope in humanity. But now I'm home and we're doing this.
You got a good deal on being sick.
I did. Well, April wanted to get a new set of pots and pans. So we were at JCPenney's yesterday, and let me tell you, yuck.
JCPenney's still around, folks.
I know. That's what going. That's why I was walking around the mall. And I was saying, malls are just so feast or famine. They have this day, then they have an influx of the next 30 days, and then once they get to January, it's another 11 months of like nothing. I mean, I can't imagine what retail shopping looks like, or to be someone who manages a store or manages a mall. It sounds like a nightmare to me. Total nightmare.
And we're pledging to do more local shopping this year, support more local businesses. Unless we're shipping product, shipping gifts, it's a little harder to do that. But local's good, so comic book shops count. Someone who makes cool stuff, buying local treats and things like that. So I think we're going to do more of that and put a little more thought versus just here's an Amazon gift card or click, boom, done.
Damn it! That's exactly what we're going to do for our kids this year. No, my son is into our adult son Nathaniel's into taxidermy, which is a weird hobby, but he's like, well, I sure hope somebody gets me something off of my list. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I know that April really wants to.
Or stuffing.
I know it's weird. It's weird stuff. But speaking of weird stuff, I was so happy that I got to pick the cover this week, and I did some back and forth. I found like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, or I found that Mask, which was that figure, that toy series from the 80s they were talking about. I finally landed on Star Wars, the original Marvel series from 1977, issue number 3. And the reason I like this so much is that it's a depiction that looks nothing like A, anything that happened in the comics, but B, the characters are totally wonky. The stormtroopers that they show one from the side and one from the back. Their mask looks like somebody hit them in the face with a frying pan. The laser beams are like, it looks like a phaser from Star Trek. It's like a long beam, but the most striking thing is Chewbacca is simply Bigfoot and he's wearing a stash. And it's like, I can't tell, Luke has his lightsaber ignited, which never happens in the movie except for when he first gets it. Leia,
he's double-fisted.
Yeah, he's double-fisted. Leia has her blaster, which she doesn't when they're running through the Death Star because they all have, Imperial weapons and stuff. So it's just very much a misnomer, and it just looks stupid. But you know what? People were smoking it up. The first 6 issues of the Marvel Star Wars from 77 was an adaptation of A New Hope, of the first film. So that makes sense, and again, whoever was drawing it was probably doing it like a year beforehand. So obviously they'd not seen the movie or even seen really reliable storyboards. But really, in retrospect, it looks ridiculous.
I'll give him credit. Han and Leia don't look too bad. Luke does look a lot different, especially when you've got an image of Luke in the corner, like the Marvel box.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that Luke looks a little different. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But yeah, Chewbacca is like, he doesn't have a weapon because he's like 9 feet tall. And he's like, he looks like a Chupacabra crossed with Bigfoot.
He's the, what is it? The Sasquatch, the Jack Lake Sasquatch.
He is. He's gone mad for beef jerkies on a rampage. So, yeah,
and let's see who did the fantastic work on that.
Is that Archie
comic
Goodwin?
book?
I think that's Archie Goodwin.
Let's see. I'm trying to pull it up. Let's see. Wow, some of these covers are great. Like 107, the last issue, they're fantastic. It's got me in the wrong order, unfortunately. Let me go by release date. Let me see.
That series was my gateway into comics, and it's a story I tell all the time. First comic I ever got was this series, issue number 65 at the pharmacy in the Village, which was a little shopping area in my hometown of Grosse Pointe, Michigan. So I love this series, but much like the vast majority of Star Wars EU, it's mostly garbage.
None of it canon. So, Charlie, throw it in the trash. Blow it up. It might be worth money, but who cares? It's not worth reality.
All right. Did you find your answer?
Okay. Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin. Howard Chaykin is like a classic artist. I mean, and he was fantastic. Yeah. So I don't know if he did the cover, though. Maybe he did. Nobody knows because there's no signature on the cover.
It seems like a big throwaway. But anyway, one thing that is never a big throwaway is the hot tips that we get from our number one news correspondent. I'm talking about that 122-year-old gal down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, Madam Webb, who's got all the goods for us. So let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, I don't tend to get involved in your love life, but you know what? I've got a feeling there's a newly divorced man from the Big Mouse that probably needs a little bit of personal care. So, Madam Webb, if you're looking for somebody to cheer up this holiday, check out Bob Chapek. You know what? He needs some love. You're looking to score big time with a guy who probably got a big golden parachute. You know what? I'm sure you two can be happy forever.
You know what? Instead of Bob Chapek, maybe it's Bob Chap-ick because his ass is so chapped because they set him on fire to get him out of there. Pew!
Yes. So big news. This came out of nowhere. We are really in a slow news week, and this one kind of blew the roof off of the house. If you want the Star Wars...
The House of Mouse.
The House of Mouse. Yes, that's right. If you want the Star Wars perspective that's really focused on that, go listen to Holocron Chronicles. They had Akira on that show. They talked about that from a Star Wars perspective. We're going to talk about the Disney change of leadership from an overall geek lens. So all the franchises, everything, what does it mean for Disney for there? Because they brought back Bob Iger, essentially after a 12-month absence. Chapek became the new CEO. Iger stayed around for about 11 months because of the COVID situation. And then Chapek's essentially been doing it on his own for the last 12 months. Essentially let go. And we got a memo from Bob Iger to employees that says, I'm really surprised I'm back, but we're going to change some things.
Oh, stepdad's coming in and changing all the rules. So yeah, I will admit, and I'd said this over in Holocron as well, that I'm not following this quite as closely as obviously as Mark was, as Kira was. But obviously there's some bad blood, or there's a bit of a vibe that Chapek was chopping things up, that things in the parks were not so great. Prices were going up and people's hours were being cut or benefits or something. Mark had something to say about it. So I will say to you what I kind of said to them is that I'll be your canvas. You tell me what you think, and then we'll go from there, because I just don't have hardcore, I don't have a real position on this one, but I'm curious on how this will affect, obviously, the two biggest IPs that most people who listen to our shows care about, the Marvel and Star Wars. So I'm all ears.
Yeah,
I'm all ears.
Like the mouse. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the big perspective is there has been a decline with Disney. You've watched their stock price through several things. They've tried to do basically some cost-cutting measures, and that's where Chapek has came in. He basically was doing things at the parks to increase the revenue and essentially decreased customer satisfaction. Like their reservation program went away. They brought a new one in where you had to pay and different things, like just to even get a place in line, you had to reserve your stuff in the first thing in the morning, reserve a park, potentially months away. And then he also raised the price of ESPN Plus, all, Hulu and Disney, added ads. So he's done a lot of things there. In the meantime, their latest results were $1.5 billion in streaming losses last quarter alone. This is streaming, just streaming alone. Wow. This is like their big bet. This is their big bet that they made.
And that's the big get, because I think we all really know that that's where the entertainment industry is going, because everybody's sitting on their couches in their houses, with the mouses. I mean, that's really in a lot of ways where entertainment is headed. It's certainly post-COVID, everybody got so used to sitting at home. For a while, we were getting Hollywood movies at home, and it was, no big, I paid $20, and then I owned Black Widow, which I don't know I've ever gone back and watched it, but I owned it, and I could share it with my mom and some other people who use our accounts. Shh, they haven't cracked down on that yet, but they will. They're going to get me. Without streaming and without the growth of streaming as competitive as it's going to come, and Todd, I know something that you've said is that it's competitive, but I think it's going to be, I'm paraphrasing, it's going to be like a cockfight, and eventually, the strongest will survive, and you'll start to see people have to kind of pair together. But Disney's the big fish, right? I mean, Star Wars, Marvel, all the stuff
they have, and they have the most subscribers, which it costs them to get those subscribers. They lowballed, and that's what they do. Build the numbers up, and something good will happen. All of the things essentially that were already in place, Bob Iger decided to do. Chapek did some last minute things. So any of the long range things like Disney Plus, that's all Iger's plan. That was his big plan. And because of that, I think we're finding that streaming is not the most profitable business in the world, because you have to continually create new content. If you make it compelling, you got to spend a lot for it. Mm-hmm. And unless you keep raising your cost of streaming, you can only get so many people. I mean, Disney's only going to be able to go to, we've increased by 500% so often, because they're essentially worldwide now. There's just limits to that. So what can they do to be more successful, make more money? And that was what Chapek was doing. It was unpopular, but he realized we have to start cutting our losses and making money, which Iger was had a longer plan to get there. So, but you saw the stock of Disney go down, all those things. They lost revenue streams with movies. So there's going to be a change, we think, with Disney, because even Iger put, we're going to restructure. When you restructure, jobs are going to be lost. They're going to probably change some things in their approach to strategy. But Bob Iger versus Chapek's not a product guy. He's not like the creative guy. Bob Iger started programming back in, I believe, in ABC, then went to Buena Vista Entertainment, which was Disney's video and that type of arm. So he's got a background in relationships and making entertainment. So I think that's where they got derailed a little bit, and you saw them go so heavily into Disney Plus that they essentially have had less releases in theaters, and they've done some things where I think it's also time to they're going to shake some things up from who is leading the divisions. From ABC, they might be selling off some things like ESPN, because sports gets very expensive, and Disney doesn't have a lot of money to acquire. They've got to sell things off to acquire. So to do that is going to be a challenge.
Their last big acquisition was Fox, and that was the acquisition of Lifetime. What the hell was that? 72 billion? It was
billion. 70 billion compared to 4 with Star Wars, 4 with Marvel. I mean, so the equivalent, and that was just to gain a lot of properties and things like that. Next question that Disney has to place is, they don't completely own Hulu yet. They have to buy out Comcast, Universal, which still owes a big portion. So now how are they going to pay them off? Well, like I said, they have to sell something off. Is Hulu where they want to be? Do they want to have one service? Iger was a big fan of putting adult content in Disney Plus.
But again,
let's get it there.
Yeah, globally, Hulu, where Hulu doesn't exist, that content is in Australia and in Canada and a lot of other places, is just on Disney Plus. But again, it's age gated, like you said. So what's the rub against doing the age gating if it's going to completely be let's get rid of it? You know what I mean? So that seems to be a head scratcher. But to me, could be, like you said, if they need to raise capital or pay debts, it's going to be through offloading something that doesn't make sense, because it's a duplication in business.
They're not going to sell their parks. Their biggest asset they have right now is ESPN.
Right.
and it might be hard to find a suitor for that because
Right.
sports every year gets more expensive to own the rights to it. That's why your
Right.
cable bill is so high, because I
Right.
think ESPN gets a chunk of that, and
Right.
that ESPN chunk is getting smaller and smaller every year because there's
Right.
less cable subscribers.
Oh
So,
yeah, except for all your cord cutter friends. I should subscribe to that group myself just to troll it, or just to think about trolling it because it's hilarious.
Oh, it's a good time. Yeah. So ultimately, so what are they going to do? So they've got a couple areas they've got to work on. Streaming. They have to understand their approach to streaming. Disney stock is down approximately 40% down this year. They want to look at, how do they balance streaming and releases? Do they change it, Charlie, from going from like 45 days later you get the movie, or is it going to be like 6 months? We want to wring out all the revenue from the theater first so you don't skip it in theater. I think that's what they probably need to do.
6 months is good. 45 days, 90 days makes more sense to me. 3 months, that if something really has legs, like a great example is Top Gun Maverick, which is finally dropping at Christmas time. So that's 6 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
That movie, yeah, exactly.
Because people couldn't, I'd say, because it's such a big deal. People didn't want to wait 45 days. People didn't want to wait. So
but that's a once a year blockbuster kind of deal. You know what I mean? I mean, Marvel had, stinkers this year. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to the Wakanda Forever numbers, but they were better than Black Adams. I mean, we did talk about that, but Marvel didn't have a runaway hit this year.
Doctor Strange was one of the biggest movies. If you look at it, Charlie, it did very well.
Yeah.
So it's because it actually had a theater to go to, less competition because there was very few movies this summer too. So less competition, started at the right time. Thor did okay. But I think there's going to be an approach to say streaming is important, but it is not the most important because it limits your income. And without that, we can't. And we talk about this, like some of the stuff on Disney Plus doesn't look great. It looks kind of cheap. And it's like, well, that's not compelling, especially Star Wars, where everybody loves Andor. And the number one thing they point out is like, it looks incredible versus doesn't look like it's on a green screen. I think if you're going to make something compelling and to spend your $6 and watch it, I mean, you got to raise the bar if that's what we're going to say.
True. All right, let's wrap this up and move on because there's no easy answer to this one. What is Ryan Reynolds cooking over with Deadpool? My goodness. What's going on here? Yeah,
and this seems like something that, now that the idea is out, Ryan Reynolds was great about kind of putting things out there. And then it's like how Deadpool got, essentially people wanted Deadpool because that little snippet with Shoop and everything got out to people like, we want Deadpool. Okay, we're making Deadpool. Right. He's basically said before the Disney acquisition of Fox and things like that, he essentially had written a full Deadpool Christmas movie, which in a way, it kind of makes sense considering what we're seeing now with like these one shots and goofy things. Deadpool already did the what was it? The special PG edition of Deadpool 2 with Fred Savage.
We watched a bit of that. It had some amusement, I suppose, but yeah.
Yeah, Once Upon a Deadpool, I guess is
Once
what it's
Upon a
called.
Deadpool. There you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could see this being something that could go on a Disney Plus, like in a one-shot, like the Guardians of the Galaxy special, something like this, where it would just be a lot of fun, get enough people involved, probably wouldn't take a lot of, 45-minute, 40-minute special like those, where it doesn't require a lot of resources, but it's a big thing, around the holidays, kind of like the werewolf,
Once Upon a Werewolf. You were going to say Once Upon a Werewolf. I like it. I love it.
We're just going to continue with that Once Upon.
Right.
But this could be a lot of fun, and you just think of like as much things they could bring in, the goofiness, the play on it. Because there was I don't know if you remember this, Charlie. There was a one shot back in the day. It was the Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special.
No, not at all. Where was that?
This came out in the 90s, and it was hilarious. Over the top, Lobo, he was kind of like the initial the top, ultra violent and stuff. And they had a one shot, and it was all about Lobo had an enemy with Santa Claus.
Now hold on, it was a comic.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's where you were throwing me. I'm like, no, Lobo's never been on anything. So I was
he's been on cartoons and things, which is just
I suppose. But yeah, he's Deadpool and Wolverine kind of smashed together, isn't he? Because he's kind of scuzzy and funky looking.
Absolutely, yeah. He is that. He's kind of tongue in cheek. Yeah. The comic came out in 1991, so really kind of before even Deadpool became on the scene. So he kind of was that original one, that irreverent, breaks the fourth wall, overly violent. I mean, I remember his comics and they were great.
Overly violent. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I could see, doing something like this, like we're getting that Santa Claus movie, Violent Night. No.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Is that
what it's called
too? Yeah. Violent Night with David Harbour. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure we'll be talking about that one. So, well, interesting. Well, all right. Well, did you find it?
I'm assuming this might, the Deadpool, or that comic came out in 1991.
Oh, there you go.
The Lobo, came out in 1991. It's probably on Charlie. Maybe we'll read that for a review and get into comics, because that becomes a comic theme about the holiday comics and stuff could be a lot of fun.
Exactly. There you go. Well, segueing back into some Marvel news, and I'm one of the few people when it comes to Spider-Man No Way Home. It was great. I've never watched it again because it just kind of bummed me out. I know I've mentioned that before. It was great, and I do own it, and certainly it's other places to be found. But yeah, it was such a bummer to me. Even though, as you pointed out, it was very true to form for Spider-Man. His life is kind of a bummer, but killing off Aunt May, and sorry, spoilers for a movie that's a year old. But
Charlie, if you're not going to kill Uncle Ben off, you got to kill somebody off, right?
Well, they killed Uncle Ben off. They just didn't make a big deal.
Well, we didn't see it on. If it did, we don't see a body. Charlie, didn't happen.
Didn't happen. He's still out there. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, it was about a year ago.
Clone Uncle Ben. That's what we're gonna get.
There is nobody in Spider-Man they had an entire clone conspiracy, which is about 3 or 4 years ago. Literally everybody got cloned. So there is a clone of literally everyone in the Spider-Verse. You name it, they've been cloned. But
they all have goatees.
No, that's from the Mirror Universe. That's different. Glasses. When you have a clone,
that's what they should do in the multiverse. Like if you're from the multiverse, you get something different. Like you have an eye patch.
Your hair is parted in the opposite direction. They did that. They did that on Star Trek when Riker had his transporter clone. His hair was parted in a different way.
You all right with it?
It was different.
Like left-handed. If you're left-handed, you're right-handed.
That's there you go. Just little differences. But anyway, it was about a year ago that Spider-Man No Way From Home swept through. It was $1 billion movie at the end of last year, and then obviously
huge
part of this year. So anyway, not surprising that they're cranking through, obviously making a fourth one, which is funny because they've never been able. Tom Holland then becomes the longest reigning Spider-Man because we had Tobey. We had Tobey for 3 of his own movies, plus this one we're talking about. We had Andy Garfield for 2, plus the one we're talking about. So that's 3. So then this will be the fourth one for Tom Holland, but he also played the character in other movies. He was in Endgame, he was in Infinity War, he was in Civil War. So he's like the Spider guy. Yep. So not surprising that they're cranking through. Rumors are flying around that, Spider 4 is in massive production. I'd love to see it come back. And I know the most predictable thing is the curse gets undone and everybody knows him again, because it's predictable, but it's what I want. Because the whole thing just made me feel so bad. I mean, Peter Parker's always had it tough, but to be completely erased, and then he has to take the GED and he's living in a crappy apartment. He doesn't have any friends. It was almost too sad, even for Peter Parker, the guy who can never win. You know what I mean? But everybody loved the movie because, again, it brought together all the things that people were the most crazy about when it came to Spider-Man, which was, the established franchise and the established villains. And I get it, but it just kind of bummed me out. Sorry. I know I'm very much in the minority about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. So much fun. I loved how they
so much fun misery.
Well, I loved it that other Spider-Men got kind of their redemption, because just think about it, those other franchises, people come away with 2 was good, and man, Jamie Foxx's Blue. I felt like those franchises got a redemption arc, which I think, it's kind of like people are like, oh, they suck. I'm like, at the time, the Spider-Man franchise was huge. It was like the biggest thing on the planet.
Tobey in the early 2000s? Yeah. Right. I mean, because in only a couple of years before that, we had the X-Men movie. Exactly. So you had X-Men and Spider-Man, and this was pre-Disney. So that was Fox and Sony, respectively.
And then we got the Fantastic Four after that, right?
Right,
so
exactly.
all these non-properties that are not really done. Well, I guess Fantastic Four was being, they were still being done by Marvel. Someone was doing them.
It was all still Kevin Feige, though, wasn't it?
No, it was Avi Arad. Remember that?
No, I thought Feige has always had a finger in all of that stuff.
He might have been a producer, but Avi Arad at the time was the mastermind behind all the properties at the time, which is
exactly.
Not too bad for what he got out of it, I guess.
I was going to say, you know what? People saw those movies and they loved them. And again, looking at it through a lens of
Still got Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
Nick Cage.
Look, Monday morning quarterbacking that shit after 20 years, a lot of it looks like shit. That's true. But at the time, and you and I were grown, we were out of college when those movies came out. We were just, starting our adult lives and stuff. But still, as geeks, we were going to see and just be like, oh my God, the world is opening up to, everybody liking our stuff. So anyway, yes, I'm hoping.
Do we know if they have an agreement with Marvel still? I mean, I know they had the 3 movies and
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland had certain money. I mean, as of right now, the way they did it, I think that's the way they did it was because basically say we could step away from the MCU and now do our own thing. I hope they don't because Sony's got a horrible live action track record.
Big time. Well, yeah, let's not talk about Morbius and Venom Carnage. Oh my God.
That'll be a fantastic crossover, like a turd in the wind. Thank you.
What were they doing? Craven, and of course our own. We should speak with some respect because this is our own Madam Webb. It's her time to shine.
That's true.
We really should. And maybe we're talking from the heart because obviously it's hurtful to us to think that we could lose her. But
she hopes they all fail, Charlie, and she hopes her movie is the only one that's good.
Exactly. She stands above. So anyway. I would expect news about this in the news because, this is a cash cow nobody's going to ever let go of. So it will go on. But anyway, next one's yours.
Okay, well, this one's a little confusing to me, but we'll figure it out as we go along.
Exactly.
Apparently, we're going to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, but James Gunn, this is his, he's got one more movie to put out for Disney and Marvel, and then he's essentially done. But this essentially brings Phase 4 to a conclusion, I believe. And with that, we got a lot of weird cameos and shout outs to things. We got Batman, and we'll go into the rest of them there. But it was pretty fun. So apparently, though, they supposedly pass, and this is what I thought was funny because I mentioned this. So in the movie, they were talking about how do we get to Kevin Bacon's house? Well, it was a map to the stars, and I was looking at things, and I missed this, but apparently they showed the locations of John Cena and Margot Robbie on the House of Stars.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a micro snap of it that I would have missed as well. So I was trying to figure out we'll talk about this later, but Kevin
using
Bacon.
the vague map they had to figure out where they're at.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And there's a lot of stuff we can talk about that, but it's
kind of creepy though, isn't it? That you know where celebrities live. That seems like such an old thing to do. Now it's like they don't want people knowing where they live and showing up. And
especially not based on what ends up happening with the Guardians movie. That's a terrible example. So
alien abduction is reality, apparently.
I guess. But anyway, we will get into that in a moment. So, all right, I picked this last story simply because, as we mentioned at the top of the segment, it's a very slow news week with Thanksgiving. But we've been talking about Archie Comics. We've had some conversation in the Discord, and then our number 400 issue for episode 400 a couple weeks back was an Archie comic. Archie Comics reviving its superpower take on Batman. That would be Bob Phantom returning in a new number 1. And I mean, just to look at this outfit. So this guy's got a cowl. But this is just, it's not a smart outfit. His neck is exposed. The top of his head is exposed. And like Batman, his face is exposed and his arms. I mean, this guy, and again, he's wearing spandex and he looks, just look at this photograph. He's just kind of flailing. I just don't feel like, there's a full-fledged, he just basically looks like he fell backwards off a building. If you look at this cover, what's the deal with Bob Phantom? So they're bringing him back. So
apparently I was looking a little bit about this. So apparently Bob Phantom was created by in Blue Ribbon Comics #2, written by Harry Shorten, illustrated by Irv Novick, published 1939 by MLJ, which is now Archie Comics. By day he's Walter Whitney, a fledgling theater columnist with a wild imagination, but by night he's Bob Phantom, the scourge of the underworld. Or is he? Using his powers to become immaterial, Walt beats up criminals, then breaks the news of his exploits in his newspaper column. But New York City is not as is not as what it was, as with less crime, that means less news. So if there's no crime left to fight, there's only one thing to do: create enemies. Is Bob Phantom really the scourge of the underworld, or its leader?
Oh, what a juxtaposition of the concept. Plus, I don't know if anyone who lives in New York City would think that there was a lot less crime in New York City. Like, I mean, less crime than the 70s, because that was always the pinnacle of crime in the 70s. And New York City was a cesspool and drugs and prostitution and all this different stuff. But yeah, I don't think that, New York City is, Shangri-La these days. So, but how bizarre. Yeah. And they say they updated his hero. This was their move towards the update. So yeah, he's got a green sleeveless costume with black booties with red tips, and a long flowing red cape. And then I already kind of described his cowl. It's a little bit like Hawkeye from the comics, but like I said, the top of his head is exposed and his neck is exposed. So anybody with a gun or a knife is gonna Walking Dead this guy, stab him on top of the head and the neck. It's a bad situation. So he's gonna be like a fake hero, like I'm drawing a blank. There's some press,
like Sentry, maybe. I don't know.
There you go. Somebody who
it's very odd.
Sets things up to make himself look great. Like, it's a huge trope, and I'm just drawing a blank on an example of it. But it's like, like Ant-Man did, and Hank Pym did it in the comics back in the 80s when it was the trial of Ant-Man, and he set up a robot to come in that was going to tear up the courtroom, and he was going to deactivate it and save the day and blah, blah. And then he wasn't able to do it. And ultimately his estranged wife, Janet, did it and exposed him. And so he went to jail anyway. So yeah, that's what always happens, Bob Phantom. So get out while the getting is good. But yes, this will drop in next week, November. So yeah.
See, Charlie, it's that evil liberal media, right? They're creating fake stories and creating all these things. See,
you are fake news. Oh my goodness. So yes, anybody who is an Archie, what do they call fans of Archie comics? Archie heads, Archerons. Anybody who's an Archeron,
Archeladas.
Add us over on Twitter at Secret Friends. You let us know when you've done an update for reading Bob Phantom. So with that, the news ends. But what doesn't end is our conversation about a little company called Manscaped. You can support Secret Friends Unite by purchasing Manscaped's wonderful product. They are the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products, precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you: 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SFU at manscaped.com. And Todd, I say it every week, I hope I'm right. It's not 18 million, it's 12 million and 6 balls.
Yes.
Are taken care of by Manscaped, because that's you, me, and Mark. So 12 million.
Yes. And Charlie, let me just tell you, it's that time of the year, seasons for gift giving. So, please, if you'd love to support SFU, please go there, because, ho, 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 you don't want to say ho, ho, no, by using a bad group of trimming tools. Santa Balls is going to be coming, giving gifts. And the best thing you can do is he's checking his list, checking who's naughty or nice and who's not grooming. And you better be on that nice list of groomers and use these products, because I do. I shave my head with a lawnmower twice a week and trim everything else up. Use that crop preserver to make everything feel nice and tight and clean.
Yes, indeed. And I did experiment with the the weed whacker, the little ear and nose tool, just yesterday. Loved it. Great results, because those nose hairs. Ooh, boy, that's a tough one to get that right.
And and you didn't impale yourself, Charlie. So.
Yes, exactly. It's not still stuck in my nostril. So anyway, manscaped.com, code SFU to save yourself 20%. And with that, Todd, time to get down to Scugtown. We got to get Uber. I think they're calling themselves Uber negative, because they're the off-grid Uber. That's who's going to be able to take us down to Scugtown. I'm talking about Nastyville. The Geek Easy awaits. Let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting at the Geek Easy, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. And wow, we're in the midst of a lot of content. Holiday stuff is happening. I will be going to see some movies because I've got Monday off, so I'm going to go see. Probably going to see either The Menu or that Devotion movie.
We wanted to go see that today, and I was a little under the weather, so we did not. But yeah, the Menu looks great. But first up was, and Todd, I tried to get you to watch it, but you were like, it's too daunting. I just can't. The series finale of The Walking Dead, the original, which has been on since 2010, finally wrapped up with its trifolded season 11. It was split into an A, B, and C. I think because COVID threw things off in season. This season might have even started with COVID. This could have been like a 2-year season, if I'm not mistaken. But at any rate, if you're not hip to what was going on in the series, which Todd, I know that's what kind of turned you off to it, there is a great recap video which I shared with Todd, which we might even stick that in the show notes or certainly share it on Twitter. But for those who are watching, the big conflict, certainly in the last third, or even I think going back into season 10, was the largest community conglomeration that our people had bumped into was called the Commonwealth, based in Ohio. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know right there. Oh, and it's cool. I found this map.
Where did they start off in? Because if they're in Ohio now, Rick was in Texas, right?
No. They're in Ohio. You're thinking of it's Fear the Walking Dead. They're in Texas. That's where that show takes place.
Oh, I thought because Rick is a kind of cowboy and everything. He's in the South, right?
No, Rick he was a sheriff. That's why he had the hat. They started out near Atlanta. Eventually, they moved to Virginia, which is where Alexandria is, but also the Hilltop and the Kingdom. That's all in Metro DC and Maryland and that area. So the Commonwealth is obviously not close by. So our people encounter the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth is 50,000 people, and they have a huge military force where the people are kind of dressed like stormtroopers, except for the lead guy who wears orange instead, who eventually becomes one of the good guys. But the Commonwealth is one of this. They're kind of like the Cardassians in Star Trek. Yeah, we'll help you out, and then they take They eventually end up taking everything over. So this is about our people's fight to get it back. In the end, they are victorious in defeating the evil Governor Pamela Milton, who is this woman she's the ultimate Karen. Short blonde.
Did we say spoilers, haircut. Charlie? By the way,
well, doesn't matter if we did. It's too late. But spoilers.
Spoilers are happening.
Spoilers are happening. Yeah, buckle up. But yes, by defeating the evil Pamela Milton, and full spoilers in effect, when the show wraps up, a year goes by, everybody recovers. We lost 2 people. We lost Luke, who was played by the excellent Dan Fogler. That was kind of a bummer. Everybody loves Dan Fogler. And we lose a heritage character. We lose Rosita. So sorry. Yeah.
God, I didn't even know she was still around.
Yeah, no, she got bit, but it wasn't bad. But she eventually reveals it to Eugene, because she and Eugene.
They'd amputate her at the waist.
Yeah, they had to chop her head off. That was because it was on her back. Oh, I'm fine now.
I was going to say, can't keep a head alive? Oh.
No, can't. Well, they can, but just not really alive. But at any rate, a year goes by, and Ezekiel takes over as head of the Commonwealth. And this is, Maggie says, hey, you know what? It's time for us to branch out and see what else is out there. And so Daryl says, I'm going to go out there and keep doing something or other. And so we know that he's going to end up in France. Don't know how. And then we cut away to Michonne, who we've not seen for over a season. Because, Todd, I was telling you a little bit about this in the pre-roll. Right before she left the show, she stumbled upon, in her voyages, she stumbled upon a derelict boat. And in this derelict boat was Rick's boots and an iPhone with no screen on. Sorry, you can see the screen now. And there was an etching with some writing in Japanese, of all things. And he had drawn a picture of himself and their daughter, Judith. And so she's like, he's still alive. And she dedicated himself to finding him. I don't know how that's going to help her find him.
Is he a good artist? Is he a really good artist?
It was impressive. I don't know, and I don't know how she reads Japanese. But at any rate, what we see in these last few, the last like 2 minutes of this finale is, Michonne looking at the phone. She's sitting around a fire or something. But then you cut to a man sitting by the side of a river, and that man is Rick Grimes. His hair's all shaggy and his beard's out, and he's wearing a jacket with the symbol of the CRM, which is they're the big super big bad that is influenced over the entirety of everything. They were in the Fear the Walking Dead. They had their own miniseries, which was The World Beyond, which was about some kids. And a lot of So they're chasing him. They said, "We caught you now, Rick," and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, she's closing in on finding him. Oh, no, excuse me. The thing where you saw Rick was set in the past because that's when he threw his boots on this boat, which then drifts downriver, and then Michonne finds it. So The Walking Dead is going into Fear the Walking Dead's coming back, which April and I are watching that now. Fear the Walking Dead is weird. The first 3 seasons is one group of characters, and then that group of characters goes away almost entirely when season 4 starts, because then Morgan from the main show comes over and some other people start showing up. And that shows that's the one that's in Texas, and there's also a nuclear missile goes off from that submarine that I told you there was that one shot that I liked that was Nick Stahl about submarine. That's where it came from. And there's like a Jesus level bad guy who is John Glover, it's in the seasons.
John Glover.
Yeah, John Glover was the Fear the Walking Dead bad guy. Lionel Luthor.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So excuse me. This wrapped up, and it's a finale in so much that there's going to be some characters that you won't see again on a regular basis, but it did spin off into 3 distinct spinoffs because you've got Daryl Dixon going to France apparently.
Yep.
You've got Maggie and Negan in the Island of the Dead, which is filming in Manhattan and probably winding down, and that's the one that they've told us is coming out this next April, which was news that I thought was relatively recent. And then the Rick and Michonne one, which has not even started filming, but they've really what. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought they were making those things already.
No, because it was always for the longest time. Remember, it was, he's going to have 3 in the theater, feature films or whatever. And then it was just nothing. So yeah.
So they really didn't have a plan.
Exactly. They had 12% of the plan. The thing that you're going to end up seeing is in next April is the Island of the Dead, or Dead Island, or Dead City, or whatever it is with Maggie and Negan. And that's probably going to be, I watched a speculation video. They said, it could be like either I think the Last of Us video game, or wasn't it somebody gets kidnapped and they got to go rescue him or something, or I think that's what they said. But at any rate, I thought it was very satisfactory finale, but again, there's no finality to it because now it's just simply moving on to take other forms. But I thought it was good. And again, April and I maybe a month ago said, let's watch the whole thing because seasons 1 through 10 are on Netflix. We watched them. And then we get to season 11, which was in progress. That's over on AMC Plus. We started watching that again, and the timing was perfect. We've been watching new episodes as they have returned, but we rewatched the penultimate episode like the day before the finale then aired, so it all brought it all together. So, in essence, if you want to know any of these details, Todd has said it to you, I have an excellent 40-minute recap video that I found on YouTube that I'm happy to share. I think it's worth it. I think they wrapped it up as best as possible. But no, it's not and we found the cure and we're going to flip a switch and blah, blah, blah. That's not how they're going to keep a franchise going. So I thought it was satisfactory.
Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, it had to end, and it's not really ending because you've got more storylines going on, taking it forward. So maybe they'll have a different approach. Each show will be a little bit different, and
I hope so.
they kind of have to be.
It's the only way. I mean, that's what they, and Fear the Walking Dead, and might surprise you, is actually pretty well rated by critics because it is different. They do take things differently. While everyone's fighting to survive, it's not always just the same. We've gone from one killer group to another is attacking our settlement. They don't have a settlement. They'll have a settlement, will get overrun, and then they're on the run, and they got to find the next thing, and then they find a submarine, and nuke goes off. So it's just they're doing different stuff. But yes, it's all the same backdrop. So
they never find somebody that's really cool and nice, and let's just hang. No, we don't like them. They annoy me. They like soup. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there is zero chill in the post-apocalyptic. Yeah. Walker horror.
It's always it's always cannibals. If that's going to be like, they're really cool, they just like to eat people.
Yeah, they did, and that's what happened. You remember in the original show? After they ousted them for the prison, all the signs for Terminus. They get to Terminus. They're cannibals led by Tashiar. She was the main cannibal.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness,
the cannibals. Yep.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, then we both saw the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which came out yesterday on Friday, because we're recording this on Saturday, and it was it's episode length. It was like 44 minutes or something like that. And you get an establishment, kind of establishing plot line is, well, the Guardians have now purchased Nowhere, which is the big celestial head that you see from the first film, and from Infinity War. And this is where I got lost. In Infinity War, and I guess the whole thing was Thanos using the Reality Stone, I thought the Collector was dead, but they said, well, we bought Nowhere from the Collector. I didn't know he owned it, and I didn't know he was alive. So that kind of threw me off, but I'm like, I'm just going to suspend my disbelief over that deal. But anyway, Guardians are on Nowhere. It looks like they built one set because that's all you saw them on. But yeah, and so there was a really long musical number. One of the aliens sang a Christmas song that was kind of full length, which I thought was kind of too long. But it was a band, the old 97s. Is that Kevin Bacon and his brother's band?
No, the Bacon Brothers. They do the Bacon Brothers. Yeah, old 97s is a band that James Gunn's friends with. And he actually, it was funny because he actually said, well, can you make some music for this? Well, actually, why don't you just play the parts?
Right.
So that's the actual band playing.
There you go. So yeah, they kind of throw a wild card in the mix early on because, and of course, spoilers, sorry. Drax and Mantis are having a conversation. They're obviously pretty chummy. And we see all the Guardians in this too. We see Nebula. We see 20-something's bodybuilder Groot. So Groot is no longer the spindly, like, he's like a tree trunk instead of being like basically a
he's wider
bush.
than he is taller. Yeah.
And his head is really wide. He's kind of got like he's got a lump as a.
He's on the roids. Probably has Bacne.
Tree roids. So at any rate, Mantis says, well, Peter, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing was about Christmas and, Peter's sad because then they have this whole framing sequence about when Peter was young and, Yondu was really down on Christmas and spoiled this Christmas thing that he and, I always forget the name. Who's the other
Kraglin
pork rinds. Yeah. So at any rate, they say, well, should I tell Peter my big secret that I'm his sister? And we're all like, huh? Because you remember, Mantis was when we met Ego, who was the Celestial, who's the planet, who was Kurt Russell, who was Peter's dad.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird stretch. I always wondered, like, maybe Ego has just a ton of kids everywhere, So Peter could be like one of many billions of children.
No, but he remember he killed the rest of the kid, the big pile of bones in Guardians 2. So
sure, yeah.
So anyway, they throw that in there, but the whole story, short story long is they're like, well, we want to get Peter something really special. We know he loves Kevin Bacon. Let's go to Earth and kidnap Kevin Bacon, and that's where things get ridiculous. It's fun, but it's absurd because they go to LA and then they're doing shots in a bar and then they steal the map to the Star's home, which is what we were talking about.
They beat up a GoBot, and apparently GoBots are now like a real group of people.
That made me chuckle because I thought about your feelings about GoBots.
Quality toys.
Exactly.
Really bad.
Quality toys at quality prices.
Did you know, Charlie, they have a Minnesota's roots because they are owned or created by the Tonka company. No, Tonka company, which is from Minnetonka, and they made all of these steel trucks. So out of Minnetonka, Minnesota, and my
goodness. So anyway, they do kidnap Kevin Bacon, which seemed by breaking into his house and chasing him, and so the whole thing is kind of surreal. I guess I was trying to decide while I was watching it if it was kind of too surreal. I don't know. But anyway, they bring him back and then Mantis has him, hypnotized with her powers. And but eventually it all works out and blah, 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 spirit of Christmas. And he gets to go home. But then Mantis does finally tell Peter that they're siblings and, yippee. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. It was fun, but it was weird in that Guardians vein, but it was almost too weird. I don't know. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately probably a little too long. It probably would have been a good 25-minute Charlie Brown's Christmas special length. Right. They did overindulge. I did not like the animation style they used for this. It looked weird. It looked kind of something that was from the 80s.
Yeah, Franklin. Yeah, deal
kind of felt off a little bit, but I did enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, it got a little long in the tooth, and some of the jokes. Probably outstayed their welcome.
Yeah. So I would say of the, especially when you compare it to the other presentation we had, which was the, what was the new name we gave the Werewolf by Night one?
Once Upon a Werewolf.
The
Once Upon a Christmas. Yeah.
Which we had last month was exceptional. So if I was to hold the two up, I would say that this is definitely more for the kids and the people who are a little bit more surface level with Marvel stuff. So yeah, I would give it probably like a 6.5 out of 10. Just didn't really blow me away.
We had a good time. We laughed at certain parts. It's probably like a 7 out of 10 for me. But yeah, didn't blow the roof off the house.
Exactly correct. So anyway, all right, that's it for me. What you got?
All right. Well, I'm trying to, and it's weird, Charlie. I'm not sure what to call this. It's not a pile of shame, really. It's just a pile of stuff I need to get to. It's things I like and want to watch, but I just or read, and it's just I don't want to call it shameful. I just think it's a thing I need to, I need to start using, going into your library of content that you owned, you just have not watched or read. Right. So I need to get better about that. So one of the things is like, I really like John Wick 1. I know you're not a fan, and I'm like, but I own John Wick 2 and John Wick 3 because I got them like dirt cheap, at a hot. Like, I think right now is the best time for Black Friday. Buy movies because they're like $10 and you get 4K.
Oh,
and it's just like
for $10.
Exactly. Wow. Well, but it's a disc plus digital code plus Blu-ray, so you can do whatever you want. So it's the best time to buy these. So I have, and there's still a lot of deals if you're still listening to do that. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch John Wick 2 because I mean to, been meaning to, and I really like the first and the fourth movie's coming out. So I'm like, I better get moving because I've got until March to catch up. So I did watch John Wick 2, and it's a direct sequel to John Wick 1. Basically, just takes right after that. No spoilers. This movie, if you intended to watch this movie like me, don't listen if you've not watched it yet. But it's essentially he thinks he's out. A haunting part of his past basically says you've got one more job to do, or you aren't out. And he takes it begrudgingly, and it kind of goes wrong, of course. So it's neat because they bring in some other characters, and it's funny because one of those characters, Charlie, is played by Common. I'm like, oh no, Common is in this. The rapper, if you guys don't know who Common is. And it's like, really? But he was actually pretty good. And and what I'll say, these movies they're like a smarter version of the Fast and Furious films. They are not like deep films. Kind of reminds me of like the Dirty Harry films of like the 70s and 80s. But what they do is they add really good cinematography or choreography for action sequences. But the actual plot isn't very detailed. It's basically like kill people. That's your thing. But what they do is a really good job of making really good environments, like they call them set pieces. They have awesome set pieces, killing people in cool places. It looks cool. And the dialogue is sparse. Lawrence Fishburne is in this, which is great. He's another character they throw into the mix, which is awesome. It's got some really good actors in it. But it is not for someone looking for a huge plot, really a detailed, intricate characterization. You get a lot of, Keanu Reeves being Keanu Reeves. But if you're looking for really well done action sequences and just a very brisk pace where it doesn't like, we're going to get too into the, we're going to take a 13-minute break by not doing anything to move the plot forward. Nope, you're not getting it. You're moving forward, very lean. It's great. I really like these movies quite a bit because they know what they are and they do it very well. And they're not like overindulgent in being like, oh, it's John, it's the Fast and Furious where it's like, is somebody going to do something stupid? Somebody going to be really quippy and dumb? Nope. They move on. They know what they are. So I really enjoy it. The third movie is, once again, it's just like setting up the pacing. Something's going to happen. You know what's going on. And the good news is no dog died in this one. So that made me very happy.
That's good. Are they going every other film dead dog?
I hope not, because I would be on the next one would be the dead dog, and I don't want a dead dog. Yeah!
No, pass on the dead dog. I don't like it. No, it's no.
Oh yeah, Lance Reddick is in this too, and it was great. So a really cool cast of just characters. Really, really enjoy it. Some really cool stylish kills. Some really cool stuff. So yeah, check it out. It's almost like kind of doing the James Bond thing where they used to be a little bit more fun. Yeah. This kind of does take that. So yeah, it's very cool. So then Charlie watched Wednesday on Netflix. So this
Did that just come out? Because I keep hearing
it did. It came out. Yeah, it came out. It came out Wednesday of the Thanksgiving break.
Wednesday. Okay.
Exactly. So it is all 8 episodes dropped. This is directed by Tim Burton. But the thing I was like amazed by, this is by the folks who are behind Smallville. Miles Millar and Alfred Goh, right? Is that who it is? Yeah.
Yeah, that's them. Those guys are still alive. My God.
Yeah, so they're behind this, and this is a different take on the Addams Family. It's focused on Wednesday. Essentially, she's had some hijinks at other normie schools, so they essentially have her enroll into the Nevermore Academy. That's where Morticia and Gomez both went. You've got a really cool cast of characters. You've got Juan Guzman as Gomez, and then you've got what's her name? Michael.
Isn't that Catherine Zeta-Jones? Oh,
it is. She's in it. She plays Morticia. And also Fred Armisen is Uncle Fester. Yeah, I haven't gotten to Uncle Fester yet. He's coming. I know he's in this thing, but it's really cool. It's really sets up. It's definitely got a that dark sense of humor, which I like. It's more of a focused on Wednesday, so it's about like that teen thing, but there's no like love elements, but it is kind of a murder mystery, which I kind of think is kind of set it up. They're setting up some dynamics in the plot. I liked it quite a bit. The episodes are like an hour long, though. I'm like, oh, this is long.
Wow. And how is it like an hour long, 10 hours long kind of deal?
That would be, yeah. So, and Tim Burton, I don't know if he directed all of them, but he's definitely an executive producer. He did direct the first episode. And
interesting.
I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to check out more. Chris is loving it. So she's already watched episode 2 without me. She said, I'll watch the next one again. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in for the ride.
Yeah. All right. Good deal.
Yeah, I think it's well worth it because, we've had some hits and misses on Netflix, and I think this is kind of cool, and it's getting good reviews. And the girl playing Wednesday is phenomenal. She's really great.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. I mean, Christina Ricci nailed that role back with those films in the 90s.
No spoiler. Well, I guess Christina Ricci actually has a role in this too.
I've heard it. I have heard it. So, this was a Netflix drop? It's all out there now, or
it's all out there now? Yeah,
gotcha.
Yep. Fill it in. Maybe if you're looking for something that's not cheery and bright, get something a little bit more dank.
Oh, I told you on Netflix we already did. We started watching that Marilyn Monroe movie, and there's nothing cheery and bright about that.
Well, that I'm sure had a happy ending.
It doesn't have a happy ending. It doesn't have a happy beginning or a middle either. Oh, yikes. Oh, my God.
Goodbye, Norma Jean. We knew you so well.
There you go. Elton John does not appear. All right. Well, with that, Todd, the mutants await. It's time to get out the Air Qantas app. The land down under is our destination. So let's keep those mutants happy by getting ourselves down to the Thunderdome.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we're getting in the holiday spirit. So we're doing 20 questions, holiday edition. And this week, we've aligned to say we're going to take a character from a holiday film. Real or not real, animated or live action, it doesn't matter. It's all up for grabs. So, Charlie, would you like to guess or answer?
I will answer, so you may guess. I'll start my I'll start my ticker on the side. There's question number 1.
All right. Is this a live action character?
Yes.
All right. Okay, live action. Did this character appear before the year 2000?
Yes.
Year 2000. Okay, live action character. Is this character playing someone fanciful, meaning like, powered or like mythical?
No.
Okay, so normal dude.
Normal dude.
Okay. You didn't say, so I'll ask a question. Male or is this a male?
It is a dude, which is a male.
Okay, non-mythical dude. Okay.
Non-mythical dude.
I know that song, non-mythical dude.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's very 90s. Wasn't that Matthew Sweet did that one?
Yeah, or was it all the dudes? So it's like
all the dudes, man. That's David Bowie. All the dudes,
there's another
man.
one. It's like dudes. There's another one. I can't remember the name. Never mind. We're tangenting unless it is David Bowie, but I don't think so.
Right.
Okay, so you said before the year 2000. Is this in black and white?
No.
Okay, so it's colorific, and it is okay. So and we said these are films, so not on TV. So we're getting into a lens. Okay, did this film character first appear in the 80s?
The film came out of the 80s, yes.
Came out in the 80s. Okay. Okay. Ooh.
Dudes, man.
80s holiday character film, non-fantastical dude. Okay. All right. Is this the main character?
No.
Oh, it's not the main character. Oh, boy. Is this movie based on a classic tale?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think we're going here.
Mhm.
Do people get killed in this movie?
Nobody gets killed in this movie.
Okay, so you're not going to Die Hard. Okay.
It would be great, though, wouldn't it?
I was gonna say, that's a place we could go. Okay.
That'll end up being yours now. Let's have to.
Okay. Is this a comedic character?
I would say so, yes.
Comedic character. Okay. Is this based on a notable franchise?
No.
Not a notable franchise. Not the main character. No deaths. So, 11. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. Did I ask if this was a comedy?
I don't think you did, but it is.
Well, it is a comedy. Okay. Comedy, 80s.
It is not Sleepaway Camp, the Christmas special.
And you said it's not part of a franchise either.
You didn't ask me that question, no.
Oh, I thought I did.
You asked me if it was based. You asked me if it was based upon something. Well, I guess they'd make it a franchise. So.
Yeah, I thought I said a franchise. Is this part of a franchise?
No,
that's not a part of a franchise. Okay, so
yeah.
we revised that thing. So because I was thinking maybe you're thinking of like something else. Okay. Wow, 80s
Christmas.
And you said comedic. So okay. Is the actor playing the character someone famous?
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say famous.
Ooh, okay, so not famous, more like a character actor. Ooh, this is rough. I'm kind of clueless here. Okay, does this deal with Santa Claus?
Does the character deal with Santa Claus?
Well, it's like Santa Claus part of this movie this character's in, like
of sorts. Yes.
Okay,
There's a Santa Claus presence. Yes.
Okay. Wow, this has got me. I'm trying to think of something
like it.
You would.
I like it as a stumper, and I don't. The film, at least, I don't think it's a stumper.
Is this a film that is like it's part of like the tradition? Like everybody watches this film.
I would say yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
very well.
It's well regarded.
Well regarded.
Okay.
Part of the pantheon. Yes.
Okay, I guess I didn't ask this. Does this film? We said it when it came out, but does this film take place in like modern times when it was released?
It does not. So that should help you out there.
Okay, so not modern times. Okay, does this take place in jolly old England?
It does not.
Does not take place in jolly old England. Okay.
Unjollied England. This is question 18 you're coming upon. Ooh, you're gonna have to...
I don't think you would go back to this well, but maybe you did. Okay. Is this deal with... Is the main characters on this film focused on kids?
The main characters in this film are kids, yes.
Oh, God. So I think I know where you're going.
Question 19.
Is this character... Okay, got it. I get two more guesses, right? And then I have to actually take my guess, right?
Correct.
Questions? Okay. Is the character that we're talking about the villain?
Yes.
Okay. Does this character have yellow eyes?
Yes.
Ah!
You got it right on the dot. Say it.
It was the character Scott Farkas.
Correctamundo.
I always thought it was Scott, but then I'm like, nope. They keep saying Scott. I'm like,
yeah,
what
Scott,
does it even stand for? Scutterthin?
Scutterford?
Old man Scuthers?
Scudward, like Brad, like
it's not even a scud. It's like
Bradward Boimler. Yeah, Scud.
Everybody's favorite scud.
It was probably a family name from the old country. That's
Scud.
That does count. So look at that in 20. So good deal.
Okay, I had to get there. I'm like, okay, where are we going? Okay,
all right.
Okay, Charlie.
All right, finger on the button.
Okay, I will start doing my answering your questions. So
okay,
go with number one question, Charlie.
All right, is this a live action film?
It is indeed.
It is. Okay. Would the live action film that the character is in be pre the year 2000?
The film itself, yes, was the pre 2000.
Very good. Is the film the character's in set in contemporary times per when it came out?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see here. Are there mythical elements employed within the film? Like real Santa Claus with doing real Santa Claus shit, so to speak.
No.
Okay. So very contemporary Christmas thing happening pre-2000. Is the character in question male?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to assume that incorporates human since there's non-mythical elements. Is the film released in, let's say, the 1980s? 80s Christmas movie?
Let me just check really quick because I assume it's stat, but I could be wrong. Doing some research. Let's see. What does it say? Yes, it takes place. Which date did you say?
I said within the 1980s.
Yes.
Okay. I could also ask you the name of the film, which is fun. Is the film Die Hard?
If you no, because this is the problem. If you ask, you're done.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
If I ask the name of the film,
does it start with the letter T? No, none of that either. We are not spelling it out. Does it include an H?
Is the film? Are the primary characters in the film adults?
I'd say yes.
Okay. Is this like is this a film that some refuse to acknowledge as a Christmas movie? Or is it a little bit more widely known as a Christmas movie?
Yes. It's I guess whatever rambling way you said, is this acknowledged as a Christmas movie? Is that your question?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Christmas movie from the 80s. Male character. Let's see here. Is the male character like an adventurer, like a cop or somebody who's like gun-toting, like in Die Hard?
Not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of. Okay. So, does the film take place in the United States of America?
'Tis indeed.
Oh, gotcha.
America.
Okay. America. Let's see. The characters are mostly. So if the characters are mostly adults, and it wouldn't be Home Alone because that was in the 90s. It was in 1990. Which is one of the bigger Christmas
That's
movies.
the thing, right? You get somebody who's like it's on the cusp of like when was it?
Let's see here. So in this film is did I ask the Santa Claus question?
I think you asked mythical.
Okay. Does Santa Claus appear as a character of some variety in this film?
Ooh.
It was a Christmas movie, so
if it did, it's not a huge focus.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I guess I would say no.
Kind of a one-off.
And if I'm wrong, you can sue me.
I guess. And I asked it where the film was set. Did I say was this, the good old US of A? And I believe
yes.
You said yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see here. So male character. Male character is an adult. No, I didn't ask if the character was an adult. I said if the main characters in the film were an adult. So is our character an adult or a child?
Yes. Yes,
character
adult.
is an adult. Okay. Christmas movies from the 80s. And it's a live action film. That was my first question. So it's not a cartoon. Is this
It's not
character
Roger Rabbit.
Yes, is this well, that's not a Christmas movie. Is this character involved in somehow a wacky plot to save Christmas, let's say, for example?
Mm.
I mean, aren't we all? Aren't we all trying to save Christmas in our own way?
That's I can't really give you a definitive yes or no.
Which means yes.
If you want it to be.
Like Christmas is in your heart. Oh my gosh, it's another Christmas movie from the 80s. Because you're right. I think of A Christmas Story. I think of Die Hard. I think of anything.
There were only two. Charlie, there were only two.
I guess
two Christmas movies.
Everything came before.
Remember Santa Claus the movie? That Jim with Dudley. What's his name?
Dudley Moore?
Yes, he was in there. He was an elf.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't.
You need to watch. Oh, Santa Claus the movie. You need to watch it.
Oh my gosh.
John Lithgow was in that as kind of like big man business.
It's not for
Bad Man Business.
Mr. Business, like from the Lego
Yes.
movie. Okay,
Yes.
so 80s, it's not the Santa Claus because that's also in the 90s. My God, I'm really stuck. I'm gonna have to phone a friend. Oh wait, that's not a thing.
Ring ring, it's me.
Yes, give me a clue, Luigi. It's me, Mario.
It's a me, Luigi. Mario. Yes, it's not a Nintendo movie. Sorry, Charlie.
Oh my God, how disappointing. I'm bankrupt on this one. I can't believe it. I mean, you took it right to the edge.
You're only 12 questions in.
I know, and it's not like you've done it for the same movie because it would have been set in the 1980s. So,
yes, I'm going to ask the same one.
No, you could have
See
picked
if you didn't get it.
It's his brother Randy.
Exactly.
Golly, I can't think of another 80s Christmas movie. I'm really stalled. I don't know what to do. Definitely in the 80s, though, huh? So it's not like Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like set in Chicago. It's not like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because that's a Thanksgiving movie because we watched it. Okay. And the character is an adult or a child, did we say? Okay.
Yep.
The character is an adult and a child. It's like a teenager.
No. You said the character is an adult. Yes, you got that right.
Okay, but it's not. Okay. God, I just don't. I'm lost. I might have to throw in the towel. I just don't know. Can you give me a clue? You didn't ask me for a clue, which I was impressed by.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I just think of just ask some more random questions. Maybe
Okay,
it'll help you.
So the character is an adult. Does he have a family? Like, is it
Yes.
a family? Okay, it's a family thing.
There's a family.
It's the 80s. It's Christmas. Is this one of these I've got to say Christmas kind of movies? Like I got to get like a, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger's got to get the last Turbo Man, but
in a way, yes, Christmas probably needs to be saved.
Okay, gotcha.
In a way, but like I said, don't make that your focus.
Okay.
Like gotta rescue Santa Claus from jail or something.
Oh, wait a second. Okay, so the character, is he kind of a villainous character?
No.
Okay.
No.
He's not a powerful television executive by any chance?
No.
Damn it, it's not Scrooged, which is my other favorite Christmas movie.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That would have been a good one. Yeah.
Frank Cross. That's the only other Christmas movie I can think of from I am stuck. I can't. This is bad. I mean, I've lost for these before, but I've never. This is like the dream where you're naked for your algebra
You've got
test.
5 more questions, Charlie.
God,
just ask random questions. I mean,
so is the guy? Did he lose his job or something like that? And he's like, I need my spirit of Christmas. No, doesn't have like a crisis. Oh, wait a second. Is this a comedy?
Yes.
Okay. And is the character a bumbling family man?
Yes.
Okay. And is the character that we're talking about the main character of the film?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, is the character we're talking about potentially a cousin of the main character of the film?
Possibly. Yes.
Okay. And is the character Cousin Eddie from the National Lampoon's Family Vacation?
Yes.
Yeah, oh my
right.
God. Oh, and that's one that I think that came out in 1989. So it was right at the end of Christmas.
That's why I had to guess. I had it's right in that cusp because I saw it with my dad. I didn't know specifically, and it was funny because when you ask is Christmas on the line, I'm like, kinda. The pool is on the line. Yeah. The Christmas pool. The pool is on the line.
Right. And then
the kids have to get gifts, right?
The family Christmas and everything goes awry because they have Uncle What's His Butt smoking a cigar and he burns the tree up and just all the crazy bullshit happens. So okay,
and Phoebe, we have that Phoebe Cates kind of moment, but it's not Phoebe Cates, but it's the lady from the lingerie counter.
Yeah, Mary. Yeah, can I put something on for you? Take something off for you, or whatever it is that she says. Yeah,
nipply. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What was you doing the sign of the cross?
I know, Catholic now. Kind of like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we got there. Like I said, just guess. Guess.
I can't believe it. We'll get there. We both took it to the end of the line. So this was a good one. This is one of the better ones that we've had in a while because we both won, but it was very hard fought. And I think it was
like a Christmas miracle, Charlie.
It was a Christmas miracle.
Angel got its wings. There'll be goose for everyone. Check under the tree. Whee! Everyone gets their Christmas bonus, whether it be what is it, Jelly of the Month Club? Maybe that's all it is.
I don't like it. Oh, man. And with that, we bring this show to a close. Todd, thank you, friends. As always, friends, thank you for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there on the webs of Intra?
Yeah, it's funny because we're in kind of this mix, Charlie, as you know. I'm on Twitter at @TOxtra, but I'm also on Hive at, I believe I'm at Todd of War. Is my title, but Todd Oxtra, if you search for me there as well, because we're just trying to figure out where people are going to be because we don't know. But you know what? We're figuring it out. Yeah, but Discord is a great place to find all of us. We're having an influx of people from your Star Trek group, which is great. But we want people we don't want it just to be a Star Trek group. We want people to enjoy all the goofy stuff.
And we do. I have a whole separate group of people that is on our Region 13 SFI server. Which, if you're listening to the show and you're a part of Region 13 or an SFI at all, Discord is where we're really finding that we're making great connections because I've connected with people who have been in my chapter. One guy in particular, he's got a great job. He lives in Grand Rapids, but his job is he's the first mate on a freighter in Lake Superior. I kid you not. And so he is right now. We've met once because we met at Mission Chicago back in April. He had been a member of our chapter, but we had never interacted because he doesn't do Facebook. And that was where we had all our eggs in that basket. Now that we're in Discord, this guy is, he took OTS, he got his ensign's commission. So he's an officer in the club and he's running through taking all these classes at Starfleet Academy while he's sitting there on the ship with nothing to do. He's just doing classes on SFO.
That sounds dangerous, Charlie. I'm on a ship. I have nothing to do except drive the boat.
Because he's not working. I don't think the first mate drives the boat. Yeah. But no, it's really great. So so I would put in my 2 cents.
Gotta watch out for those icebergs in the Great Lakes.
You better believe it. Well, all right. You can also find me at Twitter at the C3. I'm a little sour on Facebook these days. I'm off Instagram. There was a whole thing. I got hacked. I'm not saying that much more about it, but I'm 100% on board with Discord. So please find us there, not only obviously for Secret Friends, but definitely for the other part of my life, which we touched upon, which is the USS Grand Petoskey. We're the West Michigan chapter of the International Star Trek Fan Club. You can find us at that website and again on Discord and still on Facebook. That's me. So without further ado, friends, again, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Shitter's full.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.